Ambassador at Large, Coordinator for Counterterrorism, Nathan Sales, with us. All right. Would any of the things we see happening in the world, the rise of China, the invasion of Ukraine, Iran's friskiness, be happening but for the withdrawal from Afghanistan?
Leland, I think you put it exactly right. Weakness is provocative. When America is weak, when America recedes from a leadership role on the world stage, our enemies take notice, then our enemies are going to move in to fill the vacuum created by American weakness. Just take a look at Ukraine, for instance. The timing here cannot be a coincidence. The United States completes its calamitous withdrawal in August of last year, and according to the intelligence community, they start picking up signs that Vladimir Putin is planning his invasion of Ukraine just months later, that fall. That can't be a coincidence. Now, Vladimir Putin is to blame for what's happening in Ukraine and nobody else, but America cannot afford to create opportunities for our adversaries to exploit our weakness and our failure to lead.
Is it wrong to equate this, say, to the 1970s when the world saw America in retreat after Vietnam, and it took a new president, and then it took an enormous amount of money, and in the end, probably even American lives, you might think, in Beirut, to turn this around?
Well, you know, Leland, I think there's a sense in which what happened in Afghanistan is even worse, because when we left Saigon, for instance, there was no terrorist group waiting in the wings to take over and start plotting attacks against Americans around the world and here at home. And that is exactly what is happening in the aftermath of the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. The Taliban has rolled out the red carpet for al-Qaeda once again. Ayman al-Zawahiri is living in a safe house linked to Taliban leadership right in the heart of Kabul. Now, I do think that the forceful American response to Vladimir Putin, while it certainly could be a lot more forceful and should be a lot more forceful, is helping to restore American credibility. Now, there's a lot more we should be doing. I don't want to see any more hand-wringing about whether the weapons we're providing to Ukraine are too provocative. We should not be worried about provoking Putin. Putin should be worried about provoking us.
I think about, though, that the Iranians were emboldened enough to continue their plot to try to kill former Ambassador Bolton and another high-profile American, likely former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo. I think about China surrounding Taiwan and the like, and yet there's no American military response to any of these things, even a show of force.
Well, I think the Iran file is particularly worrisome. It's particularly problematic. For the past several months, Iran has been provoking the United States at every possible opportunity, providing weapons to militias in Iraq and around the region to launch against American diplomats and American service members in the region. Now they're plotting assassinations and kidnappings on American soil. We've heard of dissidents who now have FBI protection. Former Ambassador Bolton has round-the-clock protection. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, there's $1 million Iranian bounty on his head. What is the White House going to do to stop this? We have to walk away from the Iranian nuclear deal talks, because simply threatening that we're going to look at this with displeasure, as the White House has done, the Iranians are getting the wrong message. They're seeing weakness. They're seeing that there is no price that they cannot exact from us that would force us to walk away from the table. That's going to lead to a bad deal, and it's going to lead to dead Americans.
That is a prophecy we hope that will not come true, but history tells us that it will. And Ambassador, it's good to see you, sir. Thank you, as always.
Thank you, Leland.
Yeah. Thanks for watching. Go to NewsNationNow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.